I'm going to run through every game in 25 minutes. Wait, we're live? I'm running every game in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you just let everybody know. We're running through every game in 25 minutes. That's what we're doing here. WinDailySports.com. It's the NBA DFS preview show. My name is Jon Jansen. I'm with my guy, Ghost. You can follow him at DFS_Ghost, the star of the show, who is already he's having a good time. Let's just say that. Having a very good time over there. I got my I'm a big fan. I don't know. Are you a Monster energy drink? You don't do energy drinks anymore, do you?
I used to. My drink of choice actually was vodka Red Bull.
So this is yeah. I like a good cherry bomb, basically. You know, cherry vodka, Red Bull.
Yeah,
like a nice little cherry bomb. It's good to get the night started because like it gets you up. But I've discovered this purple Monster can. 0 sugar, which is good. It's not good for you, but 0 sugar, so it makes me feel better. But it's got like
we're on air all day though. Like you need
citrusy.
Like
I know. Well, yeah. If I'm gonna be giving out like terrible Kurt Warner takes, then I need to have some type of energy for it. But it's like a nice grapey, citrusy flavor. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. So that is my drink of choice for today. Your drink of choice. It's a nice drink of choice. But let's go to our players of choice. How long have we been on? We've only been on for like a minute. You haven't missed anything. You're actually here at the beginning of the show while Ghost and I are still trying to settle in and figure out what we're doing and how we're going to do it. And so, Ghost, let's get into the slate a little bit here as I'm posting things on the Discord. By the way, windailysports.com/chat. Join the Discord. Let's just start off this way, not just going with players or anything. Let's just start off with we're getting now teams eliminated, and this is becoming very tough, isn't it? Like it's starting. It was already tough, for a month and a half now, but now as teams are getting eliminated, this is getting really difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. And Utah, you saw what happened with Utah the other day, where they just sat out their entire starting 5 for the second half, and it just completely shoots your lineup if a guy's sitting out an entire half, obviously. So it is getting tough, and luckily we're on top of things. We're on a ridiculous heater right now, and this is a slate that I actually love.
You are permanently on a heater. Just permanently.
I love this slate. So
really?
other people are going to be nervous. There are some spots where you can easily get trapped, and that's exactly what I'm here for. So I'm hoping
Is this just one that you look into and research enough that you should be able to find those spots? Because I imagine late season starters are going to be out. I imagine there's going to be value somewhere. Basically,
well, that's exactly it.
You just have to dig enough for it.
Yeah, and you got to dig for it, and more importantly, you can't just say, "Well, this guy's out, so I'm playing the guy that's now replacing him." It's not that simple anymore. Like even though it isn't that simple in the middle of the regular season, it's certainly not that train of thought that I have with late season NBA DFS. You got to look with who's playing for something, and you really have to look at But before my process is always I identify the elite game environments: high pace, no defense, high offense. But even before that, now I'm looking at standings, and I'm looking at, well, if this team wins and this team loses, what happens? If both teams win, what happens? If both teams lose, what happens? So it's all about stuff like that. And you know what? Could Jokic outscore Giannis tonight? I mean, yeah, it's definitely plausible, but can Jokic not play the second half against the Minnesota Timberwolves that have nothing to play for and the entire Denver roster is out? I'm leaning more towards that than I am with Joker being the highest score on the slate. So again, it all depends on things like that, and that's how I really make my decisions towards the end of the season and in late season NBA DFS. And we've been absolutely crushing for the past couple of weeks, so I'm looking to keep it going here today.
Yeah, and what's the game really that you find to be foolproof? And no matter what, it's one game that's going to be somewhat normal, and that there's not too many variables. Because I have to admit, just obviously knowing the Sixers situation, they could clinch the 1 seed, but they also face like Orlando in their last 2 games that can clinch it then easily. So are they really going to play as much when Miami still has a little bit to play for? It's things like that. So what are the games, though, that you find completely that, I know what's going to happen here? There's not something that a player could sit after the first half or anything.
Yeah, two of those games for me are the ones that tip off right at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So with the Hornets and the Clippers, Look, I don't really have any interest on the Clippers side regardless, just because they're at a point now where this roster is championship or bust. And if I'm playing anybody from here, it's going to be Kawhi Leonard, simply because of the fact that he's just way too cheap, right? Like I'd be comfortable playing 10K for Kawhi. And when he's sitting there at 8.4 and 8.2 on FanDuel, he only needs 28 to 30 minutes to really pay off at that price, right? So for that reason, like I'll be interested in Kawhi if he fits my build, great, but I'm not going out of my way to get him in. It's more so on the Charlotte side of things with Miles Bridges out, Gordon Hayward is still out, and they have so many injuries to that roster where this is a primary spot for their backcourt to absolutely wreak havoc on the Clippers. It's been a point of attack for me all season long. LaMelo Ball needed 20 point something minutes. I rounded up to 21 minutes to drop 28 DraftKings points against them last time out. You're looking at a guy that's going to see 30 plus tonight because LA doesn't need to blow them up by 20. They don't care. It's just, to them, they're gearing up for the playoffs, right? So Charlotte can end up getting a home play-in game, which, okay, yes, they can't jockey from 8 to 9. It doesn't really matter. They're going to play Indiana either way. But it does matter when it's a one-and-done type of scenario where you can either play that game at home or you could play it on the road. So, yeah, this is a very important game for Charlotte. So I'm looking at both LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. Look, would I play both of them together? Definitely not, because there's a certain duo in the next game that we're going to talk about. I'm locked in, so you can only get one of them in there. But I'm really starting on my builds with two guys in the same game, and then as that third piece, it's to be determined. But Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball are certainly on my short list right now.
Yeah, you know what? I would absolutely love to have those two in the lineup. And look, it's not like they're 10K, 9K or anything. It's good 8.5K and 7,700 option to put into your lineup. So that's one of them. And then we go to the other one that you talk about that's kind of, we know what's going to happen. No curveballs here. I imagine that means the Indiana side, though, and not the Milwaukee side.
Yeah, there's so much value here on the Indiana side. So even all the way at the top, there's no way I'm not playing my favorite player in the NBA tonight and the most underrated one on top of that. So
player in the NBA?
It's
tonight.
day.
You said tonight.
Yeah,
okay.
tonight.
Say,
tonight.
Whoa!
The Warriors aren't on the slate.
Is Steph Curry your favorite player?
The Warriors are on the slate. Yeah, of course. So the Warriors aren't on the slate. So no LeVert, no Brogdon. Sabonis is going to triple-double by halftime. It's one of those games where he's going to have the ball in his hands the entire time. Yeah, by halftime. He had 10, 8, and 8 last game by halftime. It's definitely feasible for him. So
triple-double for Sabonis?
I gotta check the odds. If anyone wants to drop that in the comments, I'd appreciate it.
Please do.
Look up
Help us
odds
out. By
for
the way,
Domantas Sabonis to triple-double. So
hello, chat.
Yeah, in the chat, odds for Domantas Sabonis to triple-double tonight, and make sure you shop your prop bets, obviously. So yeah, there no LeVert, no Brogdon, no Miles Turner again. Who else is scoring for this Indiana team? Like, Sabonis is going to be involved in every aspect of the game, right? So them too, it's again, do they care if they win or lose this game? You can argue no, because they're not going to fall out of the 9 seed and they're going to play Charlotte in the playing round no matter what. But again, it makes every difference in the world when you're talking about a one and done game, and you could either have that game at home or you could be on the road. So
yeah,
this is an important game for them, whereas Milwaukee can't move from that 3 seed, right? It would take a ridiculous amount of ifs, ands, or buts for them to jump to that number 2 seed over Brooklyn. So I'm playing Sabonis. I'm playing Giannis. I'm just locking in the raw points. Am I looking for 70 plus from Giannis tonight? I don't really care, because I just need the raw points, right? So I need somebody that's going to put up 50 plus. And yeah, you're going to tell me, well, I don't just want 50 from a guy that I'm paying 11K. And you're right. But the thing is that on a slate like this, where you're paying like yesterday when you're playing 12.4K Russell Westbrook, you don't care if he gets a flame emoji and if he's going for 70, 75, or anything like that. With the amount of value that's available to you, you just need the raw points. So you need the 2 highest scorers on the slate, and I think they're right here in the same game.
So am I just putting these 4 guys in and just getting a bunch of 3K players, or is it
I didn't even realize that's mathematically possible. I'm not going to take that tonight.
That is actually mathematically that is possible. Absolutely.
I'd be lying if I said that we haven't made builds like this before. So and I know Brian loves builds like this.
You probably don't recommend it though.
Yeah, make sure you go and follow him at 2 Lock Sports. Obviously, loves the the Stars and Scrubs builds, and it's always a blast to be analyzing NBA with him and Adam.
And talking about Brian, at Two Lock Sports, but his picks and pivots article. If you want something for the Major League Baseball slate, locks in just under an hour. So if you want something from him, absolutely. Adam as well, check out those both those articles. But yeah, I would imagine you have made a lineup like that. I'm thinking you don't highly recommend doing that, though.
Yeah, this is a large field tournament strategy, really, where you're taking a shot in the dark and you're really throwing it up on the wall and seeing what sticks, right? So this is a spot where a lot of the value plays tonight are in between 3,500 and 4K. So you don't have to go too low off Terry Rowe. You could get another 5K guy, which I'll get to in a little bit. In the Indiana game, we'll keep on track with the same game, but there's definitely enough value to play LaMelo with Sabonis and Giannis, right? And you can even get a 5 to 6K play, right? So one guy in that spot would be TJ McConnell. No Malcolm Brogdon tonight.
Set for a little bit.
I mean, you can. It's just I rather attack the backcourt, right? They don't have a primary ball handler outside of Domantas Sabonis, and yes, Domantas Sabonis is a primary ball handler. Don't at me with that, but it's a spot where he's the only natural point guard that they have on the roster right now, right? That's healthy and that's going to be active in this game. So no Aaron Holiday for the Pacers tonight, no Malcolm Brogdon. No Edmund Sumner as well, who's been playing the one a little bit. So you're looking at a very depleted Pacers team that all these guys are going to get some heavy minutes, and they're going to try and win this game, right? So TJ McConnell firmly in play, as is Doug McDermott, and Domantas Sabonis is one of the candidates to lead the slate in scoring tonight.
Love it. So the Indiana side, basically, we are attacking a lot. So let's just say we put in McConnell. Where are we attacking some of the very low 3K type players?
So I'm probably not going 3 Pacers, but if you want to, you can. Keelan Martin's down there at 3,200. He's been popping the model throughout the day, as is Goga. So again, they're likely down to an 8-man rotation tonight, right? So if you're
not recommending it, but could go 3.
Yeah, it's not something that I'm completely opposed to, right? So again, it's not going to be my main lineup, but again, if that's the way that the dominoes fall, then so be it. You could definitely do a lot worse, right? So outside of that, out in Sacramento, this is a game that surprisingly the Kings need to win. So they are 2 games back of that Kings coveted
something.
Yeah, they're 2 games back of that last play-in spot with San Antonio holding a 2-game advantage, right? And San Antonio has a tough schedule coming up too. So Sacramento can find a way to sneak in. Obviously, would have been a lot easier for them if they had De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton out there with them. But again, this is a spot where guys like Terence Davis are firmly in play. Just again, with the build that I'm going right now, he doesn't really fit the mold. I've been saying this for 2 weeks now that I'm not playing DeLon Wright at 8K. I did when he was 5.5, 6.5, and that was a lot of fun. But all the duds that he's been doing has been pretty much since I've been fading him when he's 7.5, 8K. He doesn't have that upside, right? So same thing with Marvin Bagley, but you could go all the way down to Medu, who's sitting there at 4.1, I believe. He's forward eligible as well. So grabbing Medu at 4.1 is something that really interests me on a slate like this.
Yeah, definitely. So there's plenty here on this game. And is there anywhere else we're going? Because I think what we're trying to figure out is what games, how about we go here? What games are you just for sure staying away from? Just so people can go, I hate to say stay away from, but you're just kind of, you're weary about playing because you're just not sure how the game is going to go and what the flow is going to be.
Philly, Miami is a spot that on the DFS side, I'm not touching it. On the betting side, I am absolutely slamming Miami.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry for that.
I agree.
Again,
I don't
with
feel like
the
the 7, go for it tonight.
Yeah, that's it, right? So the 76ers have a 1.5 game lead over Brooklyn right now. And then people are going to tell me, well, if they lose, they're down to a half game. Well, their next 2 games are against Orlando. So they can pick and choose who they want to play what nights and, really focus on primarily Joel Embiid's health going into the playoffs as they're a virtual lock to get this 1 seed, right? So at this point, I don't think Philadelphia, I don't want to say they're going to sit everybody out tonight, but again, it's going to be a rotation where you have no idea who's going to play and how many minutes they're going to play. And I think Miami just runs away with this one. They're quietly one of the best offensive teams in the league in the past month, ranking 5th in offensive efficiency, right? So Miami often known for their defense, and this is what we talked about on your show, actually. where Miami is just so deep and they could beat you in a multitude of ways. They're showing it in this past month, right? So they're top 5 in both offense and defensive rating. It's a great spot for Miami to really just, again, they need that home court advantage to try and get the 4 seed. But worst comes to worst, they need that 5 seed. They don't want to play Milwaukee first round. They would beat Milwaukee in the first round. I'm confident about that. But they much rather play the Knicks or the Hawks. Anybody would. If you ask any team in the East who they play in the first round, they're like going to say the New York Knicks or the Atlanta Hawks, right? So that's the spot where Miami holds the tiebreaker over New York for that 5 seed over the 6, and Atlanta holds the tiebreaker between all 3 teams, right? So that's another team that I'm avoiding tonight is the Atlanta Hawks. You'll see that I wrote up Trae Young yesterday, absolutely went off for 56 DK at sub 20% ownership, which is very good on a late season NBA DFS slate. So tonight, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. Both Trae Young and Clint Capella, their pick and roll combination are questionable. John Collins questionable. So is Bogdan, right? So Atlanta needs to win this game because similarly, what I was saying with Miami is that all 3 of these teams are top New York, Atlanta, and Miami for the 4, 5, and 6 seed respectively. Atlanta does hold the tiebreakers, but they don't want to take that chance, right? So this is a spot where they're likely going to play 2 guys, sit out 2 guys, play 3, sit out 1. I don't really want to take that chance given that it's at 7:30 and not at 7 o'clock. So I don't want to miss out on any of the value on the first 2 games. So I'm writing that one off my books. And you can even cross off all the 7:30 p.m. games, to be honest with you. If you're not playing San Antonio and New York, I can't really blame you. This is a spot where I do like Julius Randle, and obviously it's a day ending in Y, so I love the Dejounte Murray, especially only at 7K. He's somebody that has really high upside in this matchup. But again, these are 2 methodical basketball teams. You have Tibbs versus Pop, where these guys live for defense. They're going to run the same rotation over and over again into the ground. So I'm likely avoiding all 3 of the 7:30 p.m. games tonight.
Yeah, and we have a question here, and I think that's one game that we can maybe go to here. But Gary Trent or Malachi Flynn, which do you prefer?
I think Gary Trent has higher upside, but Malachi Flynn just grabs all those peripheral stats, right? So it really depends what kind of build that you end up constructing, where if your overall build is lacking upside, then I would say go with Trent. If you have some risky plays where you end up going a stars and scrubs type of lineup, then you can take the safer floor in Malachi Flynn. I don't really think the 2 of them are going to be all that much more different than the other in terms of scoring tonight. So if you're looking for a bit of risk, a bit of fire to your lineup, I would take Gary Trent. Definitely has the hot shooting hand when his shot is dropping, but Malachi Flynn definitely the safer floor with all those peripheral stats.
Yeah, Gary Trent Jr., 6K here on a DraftKings. Are we picking on Toronto? I know we have a ton of players out. Are we picking on Toronto for a little bit of value here, or are you just kind of concerned that there's not going to be too much in a game against Chicago?
Yeah, you can, absolutely. I think it's going to be a much lower scoring game than people think. But the biggest X factor for me here is whether Chris Boucher plays or not. I ended up pointing this out last Toronto slate where I said I'm not playing Chris Boucher at all. I know a lot of people ended up doing that. But not us at Win Daily, and it was for a good reason. Right, he really didn't have a good game because he's still part of that core where they don't need to run these guys into the ground, right? So if he ends up playing, it worries me just a little bit because again, even though he's only going to play 15 to 20 minutes, it's still 15 to 20 minutes that would take away time from a guy like Gillespie, right? So Gillespie out there at 3,600 is someone that really interests me. Ken Burch is auditioning for a role on the roster next season, so 6.3 is a bit expensive for me. But again, if you're, I'm not playing him at all tonight. But if you're looking at it that way, that's kind of the analysis that I have on Ken Burch, where he personally still has something to play for, as does Utah, as does Jalen Harris. These are all guys that are playing for roster spots next season, right? So I don't mind Utah Watanabe or Jalen Harris, but again, their prices have gone up enough where they're not. I'm not forcing them into my build like I was the other time. Watanabe was 3,200 last slate, and Jalen Harris was 3,100. So I know it's a slight increase, but it's enough for me to pivot to a guy like Medu, who's going to play 35 minutes.
Or it would have to be
a more prolific
matchup.
offensive player.
Or I would have to feel it would be a matchup that you just can't get away from, even at 3,900. It just feels like the matchup paired with the fact that they've also kind of jumped up in price. Because I think why people would continue to ask questions on them is because I know you've been going to Toronto a lot. For value. So I imagine, I mean, we were getting questions about like, should I put 4 Toronto Raptors guys into our lineup? So I think that's kind of still in the minds of some. And I think now it's kind of let's kind of pivot away from the Toronto side. All right. We do have a lineup to go through. Rozier, Harris, Martin, Giannis, Sabonis, Trent, Metu, and I'm not even gonna try the first name of the last guy, but
Jermichael Green.
Jermichael. Why was that so hard for me to try and figure out?
I do like that lineup. There's nothing really that I would change. Again, you could run one with Trent, one with Flynn, and then you could end up upgrading a guy like Jalen Harris. You can do whatever you want with that extra $300 to $500 that you have left over, depending on if you have salary left on the table there. There's a $300 difference between Trent and Malachi Flynn. So you could end up making an upgrade there. But again, Trent and Flynn are pretty much interchangeable for me. It gives your lineup a ton of upside in this one right here. If you want, you could go Flynn over Trent and then run one with LaMelo Ball over Rozier. That way you end up having those are pretty much the two combinations that are interchangeable for me tonight.
Yeah. So that is one lineup. And look, we'll be doing that all in the Win Daily Sports chat, Win Daily Sports Discord, windailysports.com/chat. And you can go to windailysports.com, check out everything else. Let me say while we're here, while I'm thinking about it, the fantasy aisle tonight, it's at 8:45. Warren Moat's going to be on the show.
NFL Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon's going to be on the show.
You should probably.
Your mic just muted right as you said that. That was iconic. That was actually iconic. Like you were about to say you should probably check it out, and your mic just went pew. Bro, I'm telling you, we're gonna make an end of season blooper reel, and it's just gonna be the shows you and I did.
Caleb Martin.
Because it's Caleb Martin. Yeah, that's like
I don't know. This wasn't even a question, just Caleb Martin.
It's very meh. Like it's just it doesn't get me fired up, you know. Like yeah, if he's popping in the model, do it. If he's not, then I'm not forced him in. You know, Caleb Martin, Cody Martin, those two brothers are guys that I only play when they're really high in the model. So if they are, you guys would know that better than I am. I've been on air for the past 20 plus minutes. So if he's popping, great. If he's not, I have. We have.
Really? Oh, I have too?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Yes, you have.
My mic's actually been on for 20 minutes.
Yes, your mic has been on. So, yeah, that's a guy, $3,500 shooting guard. I don't know. Let's take a look. I honestly don't know off the top of my head.
How do you know? Unbelievable. You don't know off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
That's all right. Lou Williams.
If Atlanta sits all these guys, you could play a guy like Lou Will.
Caleb Martin.
Yeah, I guess. I think that was the answer. Was Derek answering Jimmy's question?
He said Caleb Martin before. So I guess it just happened at the same time. These both came in at the same time.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was messed up on my screen. Like I see Caleb Martin before $3,500 shooting guard, but
do you Terence Davis? Do you like
do I like Terence Davis? Okay,
or
that sounds a lot better.
Do yourself Terence Davis?
I like Terence Davis as a DFS play tonight. Yes.
Nice.
The only thing I will say is that you don't like. He kind of took a back seat in my lineups when TJ McConnell opened up when all of these Indiana Pacers went out. So I actually wrote up Terence Davis today as well. He's been playing great, which is exactly what I wanted to see out of him when he was with Toronto, obviously. But he was just Nick Nurse runs the Stars into the ground where he just didn't get enough playing time. But now it's just. That's what it is out there in Sacramento where he has this opportunity. He's really flourishing. So I do like his game. I think he balls out again tonight. But again, just I'm not forcing him in there because of TJ McConnell. So and there's no way I'm coming off Sabonis and Giannis tonight.
So there's no way. I was about to ask if there were any 10K guys, I guess. But if you're going Giannis Sabonis, it just seems like that's kind of that's kind of where you're at. You're just.
I'm looking at the top of the pricing grid. I'm like, who's going to lead the slate in scoring? Joker, I already pointed that out at the beginning of the show. If anyone hadn't tuned in just yet, Denver might not play their starters in the second half.
Too much of a risk. Yeah.
Joel Embiid might not play tonight at all, and if he does, I'd be shocked if he played more than 20 minutes. Vooch is going out there against a G League team. He can drop 60 just like he can drop 26. Like I'm not taking that chance. Towns has not eclipsed 30 minutes in the longest time, so I'm passing on Towns. Phoenix might sit out their entire starting five in the second half, so no Dame for me.
Can we just get to the playoffs?
It's just that's where we're at, right? And then Julius Randle again. You're playing a game where LA, and I think everyone would agree that LA has a better offense than San Antonio, and they needed overtime to hit 200 points in that game. Like you have Pop and Tibbs going at one another, where arguably the two most methodical coaches in basketball. Like it's going to be a really low scoring game. So, and then Zach LaVine, same thing. Yeah. Zach LaVine, same thing as Vooch. He could drop 56, like he could drop 5.6. I don't know. And Trae Young might not even play, especially against Orlando. So that for me, it's you're looking at the upside of the slate. It's like that's it. We're already down to 9K.
So and then it's just you're by default. You just have
like it's to. Just the stars align. You're playing the Greek Freak and you're playing the best player in the NBA. Like, and those are two different people, by the way. In the case this is the first time that you're tuning into the WinDailySports.com show, Domantas Sabonis is the best player in the NBA. So
tonight.
Anybody have those odds for Sabonis triple double?
Nobody gave us the odds. I'm really chat. You know what? I love you. You've been good to us. You've been really good to us. I'm disappointed. Nobody looked up anything. The odds. I could easily do it, but I felt like I could rely on the chat to do it for me.
I thought someone would give it to me by now. Yeah. I would have bet it mid-show.
You're always there for them, Ghost. Why aren't they there for you when you need it? Unbelievable.
Okay, let's go check.
Let's do that. I'll stall by saying, hey, hopefully this is on for it. Tune in, Warren Moon, Fantasy Isle, 8:45 tonight, Win Daily Sports, on our Twitter page at Win Daily Sports. Go to our YouTube channel, Win Daily Sports, Facebook page, Win Daily Sports, Twitter account, all of it. Check it out. Win Daily Sports, the Fantasy Isle with special guest, NFL Hall of Fame quarterback, the GOAT. Warren Moon's the GOAT. I love Warren Moon. Great quarterback, great player. He's going to be on tonight, 8:45 here. So, Ghost, was that enough time? Do I have to do more? Do I have to dance?
Domantas Sabonis. Oh, see this too. Okay, this is what's interesting because we use it in NFL a lot, right? But then people think, NFL season. Yeah. See, thank you.
Thank you, yeah. Andre.
Sportsbook.
If I had anything to give you, I would do it. Thank you. You have now earned the title of favorite chat member now, Andre Scott. If that means anything.
125. It's like people make their decisions based on Vegas a lot, and rightfully so, right? You end up looking at Derrick Henry's rushing prop, and it's at 105 yards, and he's the only running back with a 100-yard prop, and they're like, oh my God, we have to lock in Derrick Henry. Why does that not apply to NBA? That's a crucial part of my process, but nobody talks about that, right? Almost even money to triple-double tonight. Vegas is putting this as a 50-50 coin flip or as close as possible to it.
It doesn't seem like it is.
That Domantas Sabonis triple doubles.
Doesn't feel like it should
triple double.
You think? Okay, so you think there's more than a 50%
He's going to triple double. He's going to triple double.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta remember this.
You've more than a 50% chance to do it.
28,
125 is low.
We're gonna clip this. We're gonna clip it and we're gonna put it tomorrow. Like I text tonight and tell you, can you please clip this time? So I'm gonna mark it down.
You're gonna text me
40
while I'm doing the show.
40. Yeah, like I always do. You know,
I'll have you if this happens while I'm on the air. You can even come on the show and just brag about it.
Let's do it. That's actually fun fact. Okay, fun fact. Now you guys already know where we're going with the NBA.
Yeah, now we're just
we'll end with a fun fact.
I'll literally end broadcast after the fun fact.
The first time I ever heard you on radio was when Jay and Mike called a Mike Trout home run the day after his child was born. And it was first at bat, Mike Trout. And I was listening because Jay was like, listen to the show. Mike and I are going to be on. I was like, oh, okay, I'll tune in. Sends me the link. I'm like, Philly sports. Like, what's going on? Like, how'd you get on a Philly sports radio show? Anyways, so we're listening to the show, and then I just hear you cut like mid sentence. You're like, Mike Trout home run. I was like, oh my, this guy sounds sick on the radio. And then next thing you know, we're doing shows together. I thought that was pretty cool.
We're doing shows together. I've had you on my show. How about that?
Yes.
That's even better. By the way, we ran the 3v3 swap of LaMelo, Malachi.
That is textbook. So you're going LaMelo, Rozier, one of each. Malachi Flynn, you need the safer Toronto Raptor with the higher upside Charlotte Hornet. So that's perfect. The Trent Rozier, LaMelo, Malachi Flynn, and then Gillespie. He's gonna go off, but if he doesn't, you have Medu, who's the safer option with just as much upside. I absolutely love that. Well done.
I feel like a disciple of the DFS Ghost or the Ghost DFS building here. I feel like Glide is a nice disciple. See, that's what happens when you put in the work, ladies and gentlemen. That's what happened. So when you go to windailysports.com, putting in the effort, listening to guys like Ghost, putting in the effort, and then you're going to win. I feel like I won today. 30 minutes with Ghost is usually a lot longer than we do. I won today. I hope you guys had a great time during the show. We'll be back tomorrow here at around 6 o'clock as well again tomorrow for another NBA DFS preview. But that's it for us tonight. Let's go with Domantas Sabonis triple-double. It's going to happen. Win Daily Sports.
Happy Thursdays.
Happy Thursday.